Your consumer alert: the practice of quiet quitting, where workers give minimal effort, has a new counterpart where employers quietly push workers out.
We have talked about quiet quitting for the past couple years, but have you heard of quiet cutting? It's a new trend being referred to as quiet cutting, and experts say some of the biggest companies in the country are guilty of it.
Hey, what's up YouTube? Josh here, and man, do I have a topic for you today. I don't know if you've heard about this brand new concept that companies are trying out, but it's called quiet cutting, not quiet quitting, and that's in response to the former. It's like gaslighting, but the corporate edition.
Signs of quiet cutting includes lower job pay in new assignments, requiring relocation when it's impossible, or assignment to an area known where jobs will be cut.
Companies are finding alternative ways to cut costs, and that means reassigning employees instead of getting rid of their job.
Companies are increasingly reassigning employees to other positions, hoping they end up quitting rather than firing them.
What makes quiet cutting different from just cutting or trimming staff?
That is going to mask what we would normally see, where companies are rolling out information about layoffs.
Mass layoffs suck, right? But at least you know what's happening. With quiet cutting, they keep you guessing. So here's how it works. Companies basically reduce the resources you have access to, or they give you impossible tasks and time frames. And your managers will be like,
oh, you can't meet your deadlines? Maybe this job isn't for you.
The goal is to make your job so unbearable that you quit.
Nearly 200,000 United States employees have lost their jobs so far this year. That's according to the Forbes layoff tracker. But some companies are stopping short of firing employees and instead reorganizing workforces, reassigning employees in an effort to get them to quit themselves.
This is also known as being forced out or being pushed out. I'm sure some of the viewers know exactly what I'm talking about. But here's the kicker and the real reason that companies do this. They can get you to quit the company. They don't have to pay you unemployment or severance packages. They save money by basically making you miserable enough to leave. Now, before we jump back into the world of quiet cutting, let's talk about today's video sponsor, Brilliant.org. You guys know I've been living the RV dream, and at night there are no lights. The only thing you can see are the stars, and they're crystal clear. And that's what Brilliant is all about, making learning. Here's the deal. I've been digging deeper into a partner course on Brilliant.org. You might know them. They have a few subscribers on YouTube, Kurzgesagt, Beyond the Nutshell. They actually have a course on Brilliant that goes over all these different topics about space, and it's the most interactive learning experience I've ever had, and it's been super enjoyable for me. Now, I know for me, I find space interesting, and that's just because I haven't really had the opportunity to see stars before in my life. But if you're not interested in space, that's okay, because Brilliant has over 1,000 different lessons to choose from of all different skill levels, from beginner to advanced, and they're always adding new courses. Perhaps you're thinking, I don't have a lot of time to just sit down and learn this stuff, Josh. Well, actually you do, because Brilliant.org is built for busy people, and you can master the big concepts in their courses in as little as 15 minutes per day. One of my personal favorite courses that I've taken on Brilliant.org is their Introduction to Neural Networks course. And I personally like the section about computer vision, in which they describe how you can program a computer to basically see things, but it's not quite the same. If you don't want to learn about the space stuff that I like, and you want job security, go do the AI stuff, if anything, and you don't have anything to lose, because if you use my link down in the description, brilliant.org/Joshua Fluke, you get a full 30 days for free, and the first 200 of you get 20% off their annual plan. Thanks again to Brilliant.org for sponsoring today's video. Let me give you some more concrete examples of how they try to do this quiet cutting. They can cut your access to the software that you need. They can limit your hours. They can make you come into the office even if you've been a full-time remote worker. Things that they know you won't like, so they don't have to pay unemployment tax. They're basically playing 4D chess with your sanity, except it's all legal. Now, companies, they love to give you a completely different answer as to why they're quietly cutting. They'll say, well, the economy's bad. Inflation's hitting us hard right now. But the real reason is they want to do anything they can to get you to quit. If someone quits on their own, the risk for a lawsuit just isn't as high, but if they fire you, well, then you're gonna come looking with all of your evidence to take them to court. And companies know this, so they just make your life miserable until you quit. They'll say that this is a response to employees quiet quitting, or doing the bare minimum, as they say in these news clips even, which just isn't correct.
Quiet quitting, where workers give minimal effort.
People doing their jobs to the point where everyone is happy and then going home and just not doing extra unless they get something for it, like any contractor, freelancer, or your CEO would ask, you know? So then they bring on this executive news coach, and she basically helps companies work through these HR issues. And
Let's bring in Roberta Mattison, an executive coach and advisor to businesses including General Motors and also Microsoft. She helps companies work through human resources issues just like this one.
I just have to pause and say, these are not HR issues. These are legal gray areas that companies are trying to capitalize on.
Roberta, thanks so much for being with us this morning. What exactly is quiet cutting? How prevalent is it? And what's the thought process by companies who use it? Break it down for us.
Well, if your boss sits down with you and says, if I were you, wink, wink, I would take this assignment, that means that, hey, I went to bat for you. And if you don't take this assignment, there's a good chance that you're not going to be here.
You'll note here she talks about how your manager might sit down with you and give you the wink, wink, you should take this position. I feel like that's a really privileged position to be in. Most employees don't get that sort of warning. They don't get that sort of notice. If you're an executive or a vice president or maybe a manager, if you're watching this and you're thinking, have I been quietly cut? My boss just did that to me. Well, then let me give you some more examples of how companies do this. The most popular method is just to make your job not what you signed up to do. This is known in the corporate world as
task reallocation.
This is just a job you didn't sign up for. You don't know how to do it. You're probably not going to do a good job, and you're probably just going to quit and be really confused as to why they did that. Well, it was to save money. If your commission or bonus has been eliminated, that's another way they like to mess with you. Or maybe you've seen some of these companies start offering early retirement packages for their older workers.
Come on, we can get cheaper people. They're the senior level. They're costing us a lot. Who knows what they're doing?
That's how these companies think. If you look around and your coworkers are no longer employees of the same company as you, well, it might be because they've hired contractors, and that can be cheaper, quicker to get rid of when they're done with what you need. And last but not least, of course, and something very popular on my channel, is when companies bring people back to the office for zero reason other than their popular buzzwords of collaboration and creativity, I believe, heralded by almost every single CEO or executive that's bringing people back to the office. The thing with this here is that for an employee, it messes with your sanity, because it's totally legal for companies to do this stuff to you. There's really nothing you can do as long as they're not discriminating or breaking any law, and the company is rewarded monetarily for it. Let me know what you think about quiet cutting. Has it happened to you? Because I know it's happened to me. Anyways, if you enjoy videos like this where I call out the corporate world and the nonsense they constantly throw at us, do me a favor, click that subscribe button and click that like button if you enjoyed it or you enjoy this precious little angel here. Her name is Evie. Having said all that though, I hope everyone is doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.